get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket, that crypto wallet, that bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
What is going on, true believers? I hope you're having a great morning. My name is Bleaves. We're here to talk about this crazy crypto world. And guess what? It looks like we're about to get an enormous inflow of capital into this market. All the signs point to a massive move. And XRP is looking ready to absolutely send. The question today is $25 incoming for XRP. Well, first of all, let me summarize this and say, yeah, that's something that is on the table and could be entirely possible. I'm going to show you how that plays out. I'm going to show you what I think is getting ready to happen in the market, and then we can kind of take a step back and look at it, because I've got somebody, an analyst, crypto insider, who says that he thinks that XRP, in fact, is headed to $50. If you like a $50 XRP, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and let's get after it. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. DGen Brian says, wow, that was a day's work. I don't know what you did, but gross. Jordan's Tool Belt says, good morning. So let's get into it. Let's make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Let's talk about what is going on. First of all, we're going to talk, this is always, for me right now, about money supply and how much money there is in the market. Are there signs of quantitative easing? That is always the question. We lose sight of that from time to time. Derek says, nope, not going to happen. Washington Heights veteran, what's going on, man? Haven't seen you in a minute. So what you're looking at right now, basically just a small trend line. This is the M2 money supply. This is how much money is in the United States and how much there currently is. 21.67 trillion, the number up here. That's up 109 billion for the month. Okay, this is actually this is a one-day total. So it's up $109 billion on the day. Good morning, Kevin. How you doing, man? So what that basically means is that money continues to print and flow into this market. Isn't that quantitative easing? Well, in 3 weeks, we're going to find out whether or not Jerome Powell, who is now being pressured greatly, and let me tell you what's happening. Number one, we know that the Fed, Jerome Powell-led Fed, was very slow to react to COVID, and they did not do what was probably best for the economy when they started to raise the rates. They were way too slow in raising the rates, which caused inflation to become sticky. And they didn't follow the trends. They tried to create their own trends. This is a problem, because the end result of that was that we are now stuck in what can only be defined, by the way, as a recessionary situation. And by the way, if you guys were watching the news yesterday and you saw Donald Trump deny that eggs were at an all-time high and deny that gas prices were still high, that could be that Joe Biden thing where he's just checked out of reality and he's never filled up his tank or eaten an egg. I mean, he prefers Big Macs, and I think his favorite it's something like that. It's either a Big Mac or a quarter pound. I think it's a Big Mac. But that's, I mean, that's his diet. That's what he eats. That's what he likes, right? And the thing is, maybe he's checked out and doesn't understand how much people are actually paying. Here's the thing. If he doesn't for any reason, he will. This is a guy who's in tune and in touch with the people that he represents. If nothing else, if nothing else, and if you don't like Donald Trump, that's fine. You don't have to like him. I'm not a fan either. But he is in tune with the people in which he represents. And look, you might say, well, he represents all Americans. Yeah, not you. I'm talking about the cool kids. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know. You know. Anyway, so this number right over here represented like the end of COVID, where money started to kind of flow out of the market. And then, of course, at the end of 2023, we really saw a reversal and the money is continuing to flow. Well, now the money is back to an almost all-time high. You can see within a couple of days, if we continue on the trend that we're on, that we will surpass the all-time high, 21.72 trillion, and 21.67 trillion is where it is right now. And if that is the case, then that's positive flow for American markets. So when does that translate into crypto? Well, that's complicated. I think the answer is two things. Number one, this next this next rate cut, which again, I'm going to assume that it's locked in on May 7. None of the data here shows any reason for anything other than some aggressive cutting right now. The United States is basically, tariffed everybody kind of on its own, adrift in the ocean, but it's the biggest boat. It's the biggest boat, and it will make deals with other nations, even the one that Donald Trump is currently lying about, right? We're still going to get this, all of these things that we hope are going to happen. They will. I trust that this administration understands the need for making these deals and bringing, number one, jobs back to America, and number two, there are things that we're going to have that we're going to have to remove tariffs from. Maybe, hopefully, it'll just be a few small things. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we would prefer clothes manufactured in the United States, I think. So, and by the way, for the moment, there's not very much that we're going to be able to do, which is why tariffs are going to continue to be necessary. So tariffs aren't going away. I do want to stress that, in my opinion, we're not going back to the normal business. Okay. In fact, I think that what MAGA really wants to do is they want to stop places like Temu and Shein, these places where you can buy these cheap items from China. And by the way, you can fill up a cart for $20 and get all kinds of wild stuff because they manufacture them so cheaply. And because these companies, unlike American companies, they aren't gouging you for profit. Now, Donald Trump can't do very much about those companies, which leads us to kind of where we are. If you guys are not familiar with it, there was a video going around, and it was, I think it was Birkin bag cost. There's a video. Here we go. So this is, I'm going to turn the sound. But this guy is explaining to you the Birkin bag. It goes for 38,000 US dollars, but what is the real cost out of the factory? And in front of you, step by step, it says first things first is only use the leathers from the 3 top level suppliers. One is called Nuti from Italy. Second is called Weinheimer from Germany. And the third is Haas from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin. The thread, and of course for Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's also called Fil à Chinos from France. This is actually the Rolls-Royce in thread. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. So that's $475. The hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel for one piece of bag. The hardware will cost 150 USD, which takes it up to, what is that, 675 or 625? 625 right now. And then it's called heat seal. Anyway, the end of this is it costs $1,100. It costs $1,100 total dollars for Birkin to create this bag for you. So it is the best of the best. If you bought it from China, they're manufacturing them for $1,100. So you could have one of these bags without the Birkin label, and that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of, if you consider a 25% markup, around $1,500. Okay. So what you're looking at, oh, here we go. The total cost would be 1,400 USD. So 1,400 USD for one Birkin bag, and Birkin sells them to you for 38,000. Donald Trump can't do anything about that. That's an these American companies are the ones that are gouging you. So you can go to Shein, you can go to Temu, you can go to AliExpress, you can go to any one of these companies and you can buy these things. You can buy great products for a very low price. And that infuriates the market makers. And the people at Birkin, those are the ones that are contributing massively to the Trump campaign right now, and not in terms of money, but in influence in the White House, places that do this kind of stuff. And by the way, China is out here wrecking people. Okay. China is reminding everybody that and by the way, this is not to defend China. China to me is indefensible. I'm not saying that China is a good actor in this at all. What I am saying is the people that you think are good actors, they're not. Okay. And as you go through this, and by the way, there is video after video after video of all of these things happening. Here, just to give you guys an idea, China, Caroline Levitt. Every day, Caroline Levitt goes out and she has a conversation as the Speaker of the House, or the Speaker of the House. Oh my God, this is the press secretary. And guess what? Every day, her outfits, Chinese. Every day, her outfits, Chinese. And she's buying them. And by the way, you get them cheaply from China. That's the whole thing about it. No wonder she's out here wearing all these Chinese goods and apparel, because she's getting them inexpensively and she's taking advantage of a situation in which she can buy designer items on the cheap. But isn't that the problem? Our press secretary isn't even buying American at this point. Maybe we should look in-house, and maybe we should start working on some of these pieces before we go any further with anything. But here's the thing. Every day China is doing this. They're fighting a war right now, and they're not fighting the war that Donald Trump wanted them to fight. They're not fighting the silent Chinese. We're just going to threaten Taiwan every time something happens. They're going out here, and every day on TikTok and on social media, they're making videos explaining to everybody how you're just being kind of grifted by an administration who is doing what they're telling you you're not supposed to do. So this is going to get complicated. So to back up and summarize here, I don't think China is going to be aboard for a very long time. It doesn't feel that way right now. And by the way, that doesn't mean that Trump is going to have a personal bone to pick with anybody or anything like that. Like, he's not going to wreck his own deal or anything like that. If there is a deal to be made, he will make that deal. He will make it gladly, and then he will lie to you that they begged him for a deal. Like that's who he is. It's what he does. We understand that. We should accept that. But we can see what's happening right now, and hopefully we can see something better happening very, very soon. It's important that we all, as Americans and as consumers, that we get on at least a similar page. We're a free country. We can go with whatever page we want to. That's what freedom is all about. However, there has to be a limit to outside influence and interference. So let's see what happens. Anyway, let's get into the crypto portion of it right now. This is the crypto market, and this is the daily crypto bubbles right now. Altcoin down 12%, but look at what's happening right now. You're starting to see a little bit of a move in non-meme coins. You're starting to see a little bit of movement out of the market. And what exactly is happening? Well, let's go back to step one, which is that liquidity injection, that money supply is coming into the market. Now, with that coming into the market, there's going to be a layering, if you will, right? What we're looking for is, remember how this works. At its best advantage, institution shakes you out. Which institution has been shaking you out? Okay, so with that, then the next thing is money supply. Money supply continues to go up. Market shaking you out. Something's going on. Well, what's going on is institution is now incentivized here. Institution is incentivized to start buying meme coins or altcoins, stuff like that. Why? because that's where the biggest gains are to be had. And they're not throwing massive amounts of money. They're just seeding. They're just throwing seed money into this stuff. Like, for example, we're down $7.8 billion, which means that a lot of capital is coming out of something, right? Well, that capital is coming out of Bitcoin right now, and it's coming out of Solana right now, overall, and some other ones. But generally speaking, that's where the big money is to begin with. But Ethereum on a positive day, Lonk on a positive day, USTC, Luna, XRP, API3, positive, positive, positive. Move narrative, I think, is kind of ended, so I don't know that that one's going to go. And then, of course, Mantra is still, it's still going to have to do a recovery if it will do a recovery. There's a special circumstance there in which there's no, we'll see whether or not it does anything or not. But moving down here, SHIB is up 2.5%. Ondo starting to move. Arrow was down on the day. Again, some of these are narrative based, but now look at how much green we've got right here. Crow's up on the day. Conflux, Fetch, HBAR, Cardano, Aptos, Arbitrum, all-time high, Athos, whatever. Ether, Atom, Band, BNB, Bone having a big sort of move today. Bonk, well, that's a meme coin, but it's in the top 100, so we'll leave it there. Centrifuge up 1% on the day. Didex, Filecoin, Floki, they're all up on the day. So what's happening right now? What's happening is a lot of the money is flowing into the market as capital to seed what's coming next. What are they looking for? And here's the reality of this situation is actually is very simple. When we look at this, the money, look, the safe haven, the place is Bitcoin, right? That's where the money is. And by the way, for me, it's broken out and it's kind of moving sideways right now. It's back tested successfully, and I think it's going to break out. But again, if you remember, we had this discussion where there's really this kind of line right here, right there at the absolute top right there, that we still have to kind of break out and above. But if you were to zoom in on that right now, then you would see that we are just kind of sitting right there at that inflection point for a breakout. So I think I was right in the beginning that this is the line right here, and that's going to be the breakout spot. Okay. So that being the case, then we have to talk about what happens next. Is my belief that we're about to experience just a kind of a rip, an explosive move. And the reason that I think that that's going to be the case is because global liquidity. And what I think we're in right now is this little zone right. I think we just finished this right here. Okay, so let me pop that up. Why am I not drawing? Why am I not drawing? Oh, I fucking hate this goddamn. Let's reload this just in case, because I'm doing something that's not working right. So I might be having a connection problem. God damn it. All right. So Bitcoin and this right here. And then we want global liquidity flow. And I don't even know what's going on at this point. So anyway, I think we're right here. I think that what's happening right here is what's happening right there. You know what I mean? Like, so Derek says, I can't even click stuff right now. So my apologies, guys. I hope you can still see, but I don't know what's happening here. Anyway, global liquidity flow. There we go. I think it's starting to happen now. China creates wasted resources, and maybe we should go back to creating American quality. We stopped creating American quality because American quality was not as qualitied as you would like to think it was. In fact, the reason that we moved away from American quality because the American quality suffered, and it was because the Nissan and the Toyota and the Datsuns before it was Nissan, those were more reliable vehicles than the Fords and the Chevys and the Lincolns and the GMCs. They were more reliable, at that point in time. So should we get back to creating American quality? Well, yeah, we should. But how much are you willing to pay for that? And then if you're willing to pay a lot for it, how much money do you have? How many dollars in the bank are you holding on to so that you can afford to do that? And what about somebody who cannot? Because we remember, we've got a lot of things that are outpriced. So I don't know that there's an easy solution to that. My opinion. I don't know if there's an easy solution, but hope so. I mean, I really hope so. However, again, going back to this, I think we're right in this little range right here with what we're doing right. Jesus fucking Christ. With what we're doing right now. So this little area is where we are. And I think that means that this big surge that we're about to experience right there, that hasn't even played out yet. Okay. This is where I think we really, really are. This is and I'm following this thing, and I've been following this thing since guys, we've been talking about this for 2 months now. And I keep thinking that we're getting out of this little range right here. And I think we actually are out of this little range right here, that we've actually made that reversal. So that's what I think is happening now. Along with that, that means that a lot of money is going to come in, and it's going to layer itself into altcoins over the next couple of days. And dare I say, the next couple of weeks. I don't think that's going to be an enormous pump. And there's a very specific reason. There are a lot of people that are trapped in cryptos that need to get out because they're stupid, right? And they're not going to make it. There are a lot of people out here who are not going to make it. And there has to be a lot of people that are not going to make it for us to make it. Does that make sense? So those people right now, they are waiting to escape. And what does escape look like? Well, escape looks like this. I don't know why this is in the goddamn, I don't know. Boy, I have just, Jesus Christ. I don't really know what's going on here on my screen. But so there are a lot of people that bought in this little range right here. And I don't mean institution. There are a lot of investors who bought in this range right here. What's going to happen when we go back through this range? They're going to sell. They're going to get their money back because they're going to go to something else. And by the way, that's going to happen with a lot of cryptos. I'm using Bitcoin as an example, but the nature of people is that they will sell into a pump because they think they're not going to get their money back, especially people here. They'll take a loss. They will take a loss. Now, there's not going to be a lot of them, but there'll be a few. They want to take a loss on this because they want to move on to anything else. Like what? Bond yields, stock market. They want to move into something else, anything else. Okay. Now, by the way, the market is going to be a little bit wonky today, in my opinion, because it's closed, because it's Good Friday, and the markets are not open. Remember, we've changed a little bit about, who we are and what we are as a society. And we're a little bit more Jesus-y than we were a couple of months ago. So with respect to that, today's just going to be one of those days. Stock market's closed. So that leads to volatility. Hopefully that volatility will be positive, but I don't know. I don't know if it will be or not. Nonetheless, you can see here from the market, we're down $6 billion in total market cap, but we're up $3 billion in total too. And that's just without Bitcoin, right? But we're only up 2% here on total 3. So that means that Ethereum is driving it from a numbers perspective, right? Because this right here is the total market and Bitcoin's down. This right here is the total market minus Bitcoin, and it's pumping 2.5%. But then again, total 3 is without Ethereum and Bitcoin, which means that there's a difference here. And that only difference is Ethereum. And guess what? Ethereum it's not up a lot, but it is pumping a little bit today as opposed to Bitcoin. So remember our dynamics. Now, when we talk about the dynamics, there is a fundamental issue here. And that is right. I'm going to be really goddamn annoyed if I don't get this. Here it is. Okay, I found it. I thought I had it right there, but this is the anatomy of the market, right? And number one, Bitcoin. Flow of money moves into Bitcoin. Then phase 2, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, and we hear talks of the flippening. Now, we won't hear the talks of the flippening, but There are phases that overlap here. Money flows into Ethereum, but it struggles to keep up with Bitcoin. It goes back and forth with Bitcoin and starts to outperform it. That's really what we're looking for when it comes to money flow. We're looking for Ethereum. And by the way, by virtue of this, we should understand that it's not just Ethereum at this point. It is now Ethereum and Solana. Okay. So if we start getting pumps on Ethereum and Solana, then that means that we're in that phase overlap. And then when Ethereum and Solana start to outperform Bitcoin, then the money is going to start trickling into the large caps. And that's when we're going to see that. And then we're going to see all of the rest of this stuff. Large caps are going to start outperforming everything, right? And then we get into alt season, and that's when everything starts to go crazy. That's what we're looking at. That's the anatomy of the market. Again, it may not be Bitcoin, it may not be Ethereum, it may not be perfect because of the way that it works, but it is happening right now. So what we're witnessing right now is this market has a big flow coming in, and we've got institutions starting to buy some alts. That's what this means, okay? When this happens, that usually means there's going to be a surge, okay? And they anticipate and they know that the surge is getting ready to happen. We got Tom in the house. Good morning. We got Vio's Entropy. What is going on, my man? But now we're at the spot where, just a little bit more patience, and we're going to see a lot of these altcoins fly. Now, here's the other part to that. Let's remember, and let's not forget, we did not get an altcoin season, by the way, last time, but we got this on the last flow of capital, on that last big flow of capital, which came in starting in June of 2024 and ended around October. That's the flow that we got right here, this big move right here. Now, that secondary move was a little bit, that was a little bit bigger. But if you just consider here, we went here to here, and then of course when you move that here to here, then you're right in this range, right? So that flow of money, we have to consider not an altcoin season. That was just a nice run, okay? But that ended with this move right here from 120 on Solana to 295. Now, I don't think that's 295. I think we should talk about this one at 260, but that's over 100% for Solana, one of the top 5 caps, okay? One of the top 5 caps. Coin On is in the house. What's going on, man? Do you think something big is going to happen in June? Yeah, I think something big is going to start happening over the next couple of days, actually. So again, let's continue though. That flow of money came in pretty good, and then the next thing you know, we just start exploding. Well, guess what? If you watch it right now and and by the way, this is not a dollars to dollars comparison, but it is a frame of reference to give you. That capital inflow right there is bigger this time. Okay, so the top of that flow, in case you cannot see it on the chart, is right there where that little white line is on the screen, like right there. We've flown over that by this much so far, which means that the season that we're about to get, the season that we haven't had yet with this money flow, the season that we're about to get is going to be even bigger than the last one when the money flowed in. And by the way, when that money flowed in right there, it went absolutely bonkers, absolutely nanners. And then it went absolutely nanners again. This is just Solana, by the way. This is not the entire market. So that's what's going to happen with everything, though. And by the way, when I say everything, let's go back and let's remember Crow. What happened with Crow? Crow went absolutely nanners. It went from 7 cents all the way up to 22 cents. That's 200%. This is a top 50, and it went 3x. So, that's a huge number. When we look around and we look at things like Cardano went up to, where'd it go? $1.32, currently sitting at 61 cents, but it was down here at 31 cents, went up 4x. Okay, so we're not there. Money is about to start flowing like wine into this market. And by the way, if I were to zoom out and I were to look at this and just kind of to give you an idea of the flow, again, God damn it, I can't seem to press that button. When we look at the flow of money and we look at how it looks like on the chart, and what we're looking at is this right here and this right here. And it looks almost the same. It's got this little trip right there, right there. It's got this top, it's got the top, it's got this little plateau right here. It's got this little plateau right here. It's got this little surging area right here, which didn't surge, by the way, but remember, it's Cardano. doesn't always surge along with the market. Cardano is one of those things that until Hoskinson met with Donald Trump, he wasn't a thing. So there you have it. Like this is the market is about to absolutely send. Okay. And as we see this money come in, I think we're going to get just a pretty massive flow. So let's get into the rest of this. Let's move to 200s. We got T up 38% on the day. That's the only one really kind of shining. Let's stick to everything over. We got Ergo up another 40%. Ergo, man, that had a really good run. I missed the dump down to the bottom. Like I tried to, but it was only $7. Like I don't give a shit. I knew it was happening. I knew it was gonna happen. I just missed it. So I got liquidated for $7 on it. And by the way, I felt like I should have gone a little bit higher and with a little less leverage, because I think I did 20x on it just to say, you know what, let's just see what happens. And if I had, by the way, on Ergo, if you let's go to AERGO. Let's go to this Ergo perpetual futures contract right here, and let's look at this. If I had done that right here, and I had caught that, because I got in right here at about 44 cents, 50 cents, somewhere in this neighborhood. It went up to 67, right? So from 67, imagine your 20x on this, from 67 down to here, that's 82%, which means that, you know, if you're 20x on it, you take 82 times 20, that's 1600. That would have been 16x. So I would have turned $7 into $102 or $112. So yeah, that's, you know, it's not a lot. That's not the point. You know what I mean? If you find something like this that rips and you can catch that, and you can catch it right here at the top, then boom, falling knife all the way down to a huge amount of profit. And then just don't be afraid to take your profit. And the best way to do that, by the way, is if you sign up for somebody like Weeks, if you sign up for one of my companies here, Weeks over here or KCX over here, if you sign up for one of those, they let you set limit orders. Now, they are a centralized exchange, which means that you don't control your capital. But you know where you do? Dev Exchange. So if you guys are interested, I'm going to give you the link one more time today. If you want to sign up, I'm going to put it down in the description. I'm going to put it down in the description in over the weekend so that it's available for you, and it'll be right here at the top. But if you, and we're going to hit that, and we're going to pop. If you guys want to sign up for an exchange where you control, this is you, okay, where you control what goes in and out of your wallet, and the centralized exchange does not, sign up for Dev Exchange and get ready. Now, to understand Dev Exchange, the DevX blockchain is a permissioned blockchain, which means that you can't use it unless somebody authorizes you to use it, meaning a builder on the network decides that they're going to build. And then they decide that you're going to have access to it. Now, if that is the case, then this is going to be crazy good, right? Make sure you hit the like button, by the way, on your way in. We got Steve Shaw training in the house. I appreciate that. I work hard to try to do these things just because I think they're fun and entertaining and stuff like that. And I really haven't found one that you know, I don't know, what's the phrase, speaks to me. You know what I mean? But I have fun with them. So we'll see what happens here. Dangerous Crypto, good morning. Anyway, at Dev Exchange, and remember, there you get rewards. You get rewarded for signing up. You get a founders pack. You get experience that you'll be able to use later on. And then you can, by the way, there's Litcraft too that you can do as well. And then you get raffle tickets. And I think you get 55 raffle tickets if you complete all of this stuff. And then of course I get notified. Like, so if you guys do it, if I get 100 people that sign up, then, you know, I get more, I think. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. I just want you guys to sign up. In my opinion, Dev Exchange is going to be the game changer in cryptocurrency. And the reason for that is very, very simple. Currently, if you buy, if you want to exchange crypto, right? If you want to exchange crypto, you have this right here and you have this right here. Okay. So you have these two things. This is you, and this is the crypto you want to buy, right? I am the exchange. So you give your crypto to me. centralized exchange or the crypto that you have, same thing. They give their crypto to the exchange, and then the exchange does the transaction for you. Okay. Now, that is a middleman. And in order for you to be able to do that, you have to give that exchange your cryptocurrency. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not your wallet, that you're holding on to it, but it really means that if they decide to go bankrupt, if FTX happens again, they're going to take your money. They're going to take your money. They control it. You don't. Dev Exchange changes that. You will connect with a DeFi wallet to that exchange. And once you've connected with that DeFi wallet, you're in control of that wallet because it's DeFi. And the middleman is basically liquidity pools as almost a lend. It's sort of it's a lending thing. Okay. So we want to make a transaction. I want to send you 1,000 Bitcoin. I send you 1,000 Bitcoin and it goes through, but the Bitcoin comes into the holding company and then you get you get loaned the 1,000 Bitcoin until I confirm the transaction is authorized and perfectly legal, et cetera. And then it will settle, right? And it gets held for like 30 days, but you get your money immediately. Okay. This is a game changer and it eliminates fraud risk. Okay. And that's called counterparty risk. So if you're not using Dev Exchange the day that it launches, you, my friends, are screwing up. And here's the other part. It's not going to take huge amounts of liquidity for most, like you'll be able to trade almost any token instantaneously going back and forth, and the system will settle that for you. So that is crazy. Now, because of that, there's an announcement that Devi's going to make. And I guess we should talk about Dev-E at this point because look, I'm not afraid to say it. The partner is NASDAQ. Okay. There is a partner coming for the Dev Exchange, the Dev ecosystem. And that partner, it's NASDAQ. It's NASDAQ. I know it is, right? It will, and you know what? I don't know exactly when it's going to happen. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but is the exchange still going to launch in June, whether the announcement comes out or not? So that's a very good question. And in fact, I wish I could. What I'm about to give you is my opinion of how this is playing out. Devi has never missed a deadline. Now, they have not given you an absolute deadline as for the day for Dev Exchange. But here's why I think it is going to happen no matter what in June. The reason that I think it's going to happen is because if you have a filing with the SEC tells you exactly when, including, by the way, any kind of kicking the can down the road sort of moments, there's a final decision date. So the final decision date for Devi is in June. So they will get their license like June 1st or before June 1st. Like we will have it. They will know it will be done. Same thing for Switzerland, which there's 2 licenses that they needed, the Switzerland license and the United States license. And once those things are done, then that announcement can go through and it's already been prepared. I think the announcement was prepared something like 2 months ago. So they're just waiting and they'll update the announcement. And then all of a sudden you're going to see a dual announcement from both, in my opinion, NASDAQ and Devi at the same time, announcing a partnership and that they are fundamentally shifting away from the way centralized exchanges are doing business currently. And they are removing all risk being removed from crypto other than price action. All risk other than price action means safety and security. And guess what? That's exactly what institutions have alleged for a long time prohibits them from getting deeper into this market. So what you're going to see, or what the idea is, what you're going to see is a big move in this market and a fundamental shift in the way business is done. You're going to see it happen very rapidly, very quickly, in my opinion. And again, I think that Devi, which is currently trading, and by the way, Devi, it should be noted, Devi is suffering from the apathy of the entire market. And when the market moves, by the way, Devi is going to move with the market because there's no bearish sort of narrative or anything like that. But it doesn't have a lot of money. If we come over here and we just kind of take an honest look at Devi, then It's a matter of liquidity, which is about 500,000, maybe 1 million with centralized exchanges. Okay. And a market cap right here of 54.6 million. Again, it could 20x from where it is right now to a billion market cap. It could 20x from right here, right now. And that would be $12, something like that, you know? So if this failure believe will loose all of credit, he hang hat to it. No, I won't. I'll just say, hey, I got it wrong, and I'll move on. Guys, I'm giving you my opinion, and sometimes my opinion is going to be wrong, even though I'm always right. So I don't give a shit about any of that. If I'm wrong and something happens, there's a reason why I tell you that you have to do your own research. Never listen to what I say. I'm a moron. I'm not some genius out here. I can read a chart. I can tell you what should happen on a chart. I can tell you mechanism, what the fundamentals of that chart look like. I can tell you all of those things. But unless the market complies, it may or may not happen. So I don't worry about that. I worry about being as right as I possibly can be, with the understanding that this is on you, boo-boo. Get your shit together and you do the trading, and you figure out what your risk tolerance is, and you figure out whether you want to buy this meme coin or you want to buy this altcoin or not. I mean, I gave you API 3 a long time ago, and I gave it to you at a pretty high number, I want to say. Like I feel like I've been accumulating, and I have been accumulating API 3 since I want to say like $2 or $3. Like I've been DCAing my way here. And when it went up to $1.50 the other day, which was March 22nd, 23rd, when it went up to $1.50, I actually thought about, you know what, maybe I should exit and take a loss. However, I wasn't really in a loss. I was actually above break even because I had bought a bunch down here at 50 cents. When I caught this falling knife, when it broke out of this channel, I thought, man, that's going to be a strong bounce up to the top. Why? Because fundamentally, that's what happens on a chart. And I know this. It went up here, it came down here, it went up here, it came down here, it went up here, it came down here, it went back up here. Right now, it's in the middle. So I don't know what direction it's going to go. If it comes up here, I'm going to be looking for it to come back down, right? If it comes out of this side, I'm going to be looking for it to bounce off of this range right here and then continue on. But I don't know. Maybe not. So anyway, so I think that back to Devi. So I think that Devi is going to be a gem that's just going to really, really, really sort of break out here. Now, again, they got to get their shit together, and their shit together, that basically means they need everything they've been waiting for. They need to they need to get that fulfilled. And then you've got, and by the way, if you're ever wondering exactly how this works, there are white papers to explain to you how this works. It's called Device, and it merges crypto innovation with TradFi security. No custody risk, instant compliant transactions, best-in-class protection and regulatory compliance, and earn from your assets. And by the way, what does that mean? Well, that means that I can take my Devi and I can provide it to Devi as a liquidity device, and they will give me rewards based on me providing liquidity for the project. Now, here's the thing. If this project, in my opinion, look, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what's going to happen with me, because I was at first going to hold it until $50 and just kind of, sit there and sort of wait. And my original strategy was, hey, if it goes to $12, if it goes up here to $12, where I think it's going to go, $10 to $12, if it goes up here, I'm going to take out a few bucks just to kind of, have some cash and shit like that. You know what I mean? But then I thought, you know what? No, here's what I think is going to happen. Now, and here's the reason. When you go to a billion market cap, which is right there, like that's a billion market cap on this chart. So if it goes up to a billion market cap, that would be like $11, $12, whatever the number is, right? Every crypto that goes to that level dumps back down into a lower range. Now, it won't go down as low as I just gave you right there on my, most likely it goes up here to a billion, then it comes down and it resettles right? And what would it look like? I'm just guessing, by the way. This is not science here. This is me guessing, okay? But it goes up to, let's say, 1165. That's about $1 billion market cap, right? Well, then it's going to correct down here into the $6 to $4 range. See, I had that all messed up. Anyway, so from here, if we get the breakout and it goes to, again, about 1160 right there. So if the move happens, then, we get this rip up into this range and it's got to come back down into this range. Okay. So I'm going to place my bet. I'm going to exit and if we haven't hit the top and I sell it 900 million at about $9 instead of $11 and I watch it go up another $2 and I think, damn, that could have been 60 grand or something like that. I don't care. Okay. I don't care. What I think is going to happen is I think that it's going to rip, then it's going to dip, then it's going to do what I always tell you, which is go back up to the 236, which is going to be about $9 and $9.50. Then it's going to come back down here and then it's going to continue on, right? That's the art of what we're doing here. And we're just guessing, by the way, but that's my plan. So what I plan to do is risk out completely on that top and then try to risk in again for a much bigger bag down at the bottom. So, let's say I sell 50,000 at $11. I have like 600 grand, whatever the number is, right? If it comes back down into that $6 range, then for 300 grand, I can just buy my entire bag back. Or I can scale back in with a whole lot more and buy twice as much as I had. And now I have 100,000. You see what I'm saying? Like, to me, it makes perfect sense that that's something that I would want to do. Now, again, I would take a little bit of profit out. I'm not saying I'd put the entire amount back in. I'm not telling you that at all. But I would take out a significant, I would take it all out, wait for the dip, buy back in so that I've got a bigger bag than I had before. And then I'll have a little bit of cash on the side. That's it. That's the only plan that I have. And then I think that's when it gets, as more people start to get involved, you get the dip down into this range, and then boom, the next thing I think is it goes around $50. It goes around $50. All I need in order to, change my life at that would be to buy 20,000 right there. Because if I bought 20,000 Devi right here, which would be at $6, 20,000 would be like 120 grand. So 120 grand, it goes to $50. I made $1 million. That's an $880,000 profit. So guys, I'm taking my risk out and putting my risk back in on my terms. So that's what my goal is. That's what my plan is. Now, in the event that something wild happens and it just continues, and I don't see a move, I don't see any downward momentum. Like if it just really starts to send, and I'm not saying that it won't, because, it could go to $1 billion and the next day could be at 4 billion. Once you get to $1 billion, it could start to take off from there. So I'm not really sure exactly how to price it in. So I'm tentatively looking at it from that context. If it looks powerful, if it looks super powerful, then I'll take out maybe 1,000. You know what I'm saying? Like I take out 1,000 at $10, 10,000, 10,000, $10,000. That'll pay for a trip or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm seeing a daily trigger wave printing on SHIB and Floki and a few other alts. That's exactly right. There are waves triggering. Anything new with Bone, and realistically, what do you think API will hit? Thanks. Okay, so anything new with Bone? There's nothing new with Bone. I don't understand why, it might just be that it's time. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are just looking at Bone right now and saying, like, how can it be this far down? If you look at SHIB and Bone, then boom, 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 boom. Price surges as trading volume soars 392%. That was a month ago. And that's when you had that last boom, boom, boom. That's when you had this last spike over here, right? So I think that's just what's happening again. I think that people are looking at it. And by the way, if you're looking at it from this context, let's remove the global liquidity flow, get out of that for a second. And let's look at what I'm talking to you guys about. When you're down here in this range, there is going to be a pump, right? So I think that we just got to the range and now there's just going to be a pump. The question right now is there's a kind of a trend right there, a downward sort of trend. So maybe, just maybe, we're going to see an upward momentum up into that range. By the way, if that happens, again, like I would de-risk a little bit at this point, unless it breaks above and does something like that, you know. Otherwise, if it comes up here and it starts to look weak right here, that probably means it's coming back down. And this trend line right there is starting to develop. So, you know, you could accumulate again at 25 cents, a little bit lower than where you are right now. So, but again, I mean, you just have to watch it and see what's going on. As far as API 3 goes, there's nothing fundamentally wrong on API 3. My ultimate prediction for API 3 is still $100. I still think, and actually the number that I gave you was like 175, I think. And none of that is fundamentally changing. Okay. So when you look at API 3, like you can't help but be, look, here is, it's currently sitting at a $62 million market cap. If you go back and you look at where it was before, and here's the thing, it's going to go back to one of these tops where it was before. It will go back to that level. And so we're talking about 400 million market cap right here. You know, I want to say that you know what? That's not exactly right. That's only this year. So on the 1 year, yes. On the 2 year, you know what? This, X, no, that's not right. Something is wrong with this chart right now. Like it did have a move up here to 400 million market cap, but this is a $5 to $10 billion project. Let me just say that. This is a $5 to $10 billion project at an absolute minimum, okay? And if you remember here, we compare CoinGecko, compare market cap, and we want to compare some cryptocurrencies. We want to compare API 3 because that's the competitor here, Link. So if it goes to where Link currently is, which is an 8 billion market cap. And by the way, let me point out, when we did this the last time, when we did a full analysis of it on the last time, Link is at $12.54 right now. Link was over $30 when we were doing this before. Okay, so just consider that Link was about 3x higher. It was closer to 20 billion market cap. So when we go back over here and we look at it from that comparison and we say, well, Chainlink market cap at 15 to 20 billion seems about right, then that means that the API price is somewhere in the neighborhood of $130, $140. If it goes up 3x and it goes to that $30 level, which would be about 22, 23 million market cap, if it goes up to that level, that means that it's going to go to over 200. So I think I'm right in this prediction. I think it just hasn't had that moment to break out yet because we've been in the bear market. And there's nothing fundamentally different about API 3. It's just a matter of it being discovered by some speculative investors as it continues to build. Okay, that is my opinion. So anyway, I'm going to say 175 still on API 3. So I'm going to continue to be and remain pretty bullish on what they're doing right there. Now, let's get out of here. Fear and greed index, by the way, is at 33. So until something changes, I don't really have anything to add of value at that point. But again, all of this comes down to, my point is that DevE is going to absolutely break out. Bone, I think, is just doing what Bone does every once in a while, which is surge. API 3, I think, is just going to be an absolute runner. Who shall not be named says, what about Roger's prediction of $1,000 in a year's time? I'm not Roger, so I don't care what Roger gives as a prediction. That's his opinion. We're all entitled to our opinions. I don't see a path to $1,000 for DevE in this bull market cycle. That is bonkers to me. Okay. And there's a there's a specific reason here. If you just kind of look at it from, we're going to compare cryptocurrency. What if DevE became the next Solana? That's the question, right? Because that's what it would be, right? So let's say, what happens if it becomes the next Solana? Well, that's $787. See, that's not even enough for 1,000. You see what I'm saying? Like, no, that's a $68 billion market cap right now. What if, however, we want to do Ethereum? Well, if we do Ethereum, which is 191 billion market cap, that is actually $2,200. Okay. So is there a path to $1,000? Yes. Is Devi going to get to 1,000? I mean, maybe, but it won't happen during this bull run. That is out of control. There is no way, in my opinion, that this could happen. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not a path forward for, let's just say this. What if Ethereum goes up 10x from here and is suddenly at a 1.9 trillion market cap, and Bitcoin does the same? When the market capital gets flowing in, could it get there? Yes. Also, could this be just one of the most game-changing fundamental things that has ever happened in crypto? Actually, that's also a yes. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful to any other projects. There are great projects out there. And I don't know that it's going to happen with DevE, because you never know how this market is going to respond and react. But I do know that during an altcoin season and during a bull market run, that a lot of cryptos, especially ones that are partnered with big time corporate entities, are going to have incredible pumps. SWI comes to mind. And remember, we talked about SWI before, right? Currently sitting at a 6.8 billion market cap. And by the way, if we do a comparison to SWI, that's a $78 DevE. Do I think that's realistic? Yes, 100%. That is way realistic right there. I don't think, not surging, not a surge. And there's a very fundamental difference, by the way, for me, between SWI and DevE, and that is SWI started with over $1 billion market cap before dipping after people are selling off and stuff like that. Oh yeah, what I'm saying is I came from, if you guys remember, I was in Volt for a long time, and they put me in this situation for me was incredibly uncomfortable. And if anybody saw the stream that I was on right there, you might even have noticed how uncomfortable I was. But they were talking about Volt on this live stream. And I mean, we had Adam Shelton there. We had a bunch of different influencer guys there, and they were saying wild shit like 50 billion market cap for Volt. That's nonsense. I said 5 billion would be a phenomenal run for Volt. That was my opinion. And by the way, that's nothing against the Volt ecosystem or anything. I think it's actually fantastic. I think what Voltoshi has built is fundamentally one of the better ecosystems in all of meme coins. Not outside of SHIB, probably outside of SHIB, but that doesn't always translate into money. That doesn't always work. When it gets into a bull market, yeah, 5 billion, sure. 50 billion, come on. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just, sometimes it just doesn't happen. And it makes me uncomfortable with predictions. And that's what I was saying. Like Roger's prediction of 1,000 makes me incredibly uncomfortable, because I disagree that $1,000 in a year is even in the realm of possibility. Probability, I should say. It is always possible. Probability. I'll just say that one. And really, it's because if you consider this, here's the reason, okay? Money just doesn't flow like that into the markets. Like money just doesn't, pop in and everything just goes absolutely up. There's traders trading along the way. So those peaks and those valleys, those are the things that cause changes in momentum. So if I grant you this, that I think immediately upon that announcement that we're going to $12, because that's $1 billion market cap. If we just say that I'm sure right now that $12 right there, like that's what's going to happen if it goes, right? Well, then people stop buying probably around that range because it's $1 billion. Does it dip back down? Yes. Do we buy back in some more? Also, yes. But then does it break out and just keep going? Like, that's the question. Like, does it just, because then the next is 2 billion, then the next is 4 billion, then the next is 7 billion, 8 billion, 9 billion, 10 billion. Can that happen? I just don't think the capital exists from the market makers and the way the flow is structured. I think anybody who's seeing DevE and saying, yeah, this is a paradigm shift, this is a fundamental difference, blah, 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 but it's still an exchange with a blockchain built on it. We need to see more development out of the DevX ecosystem before we see something like $1,000. Just being partnered with NASDAQ, in my opinion, is good for $50. It's not good for $1,000. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If, however, BlackRock gets in, if Fidelity gets in, if ARC21 gets in, and everybody says, you know what, we actually like this. This is, we've eliminated counterparty risk. So if you want to buy ETF from us, you can do it through DevX. You know what I mean? Like there's a path forward for $1,000. There really is. I just don't know that that's going to be it. So we'll see. And by the way, there's only so much capital to go around. Everybody's not going to throw their Ethereum money into DevE, or at least not immediately or fundamentally. So let's get into the news here, because we're an hour in. I didn't even give you the news. Okay. First of all, the question of the day was, is XRP looking sendy? And I think that it is. And Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse is driving the global expansion. And it says, according to All Things XRP, Brad Garlinghouse is spearheading XRP's increased adoption and expansion. Garlinghouse multiple posts and comments on the crypto's potential have significantly influenced its global recognition. So what it says right here, this is really about settling pay. This is about replacing the SWIFT current banking system. Okay. The Ripple CEO highlighted XRP's use case in global payments. He also underscored the token's potential to solve multi-trillion-dollar problem. By the way, DevE solves these problems better. Just want to point that out. So, and I'm not saying that there's any circumstance in which DevE would front run XRP. In fact, if you were to look at it from a market cap standpoint, like how does 120 billion market cap for DevE sound to you? I mean, it's possible. It's possible. If we consider XRP, you know what? I put that. I gotta move that back. That is a $1,385. So what the fuck? I mean, maybe. You know what I mean? But we have to replace the system, right? And that's going to take time. So I don't know how crazy it gets, but could get crazy. We got CoinsChick in the house, by the way. So let's give her a shout out, guys. The first project still coming. We're still waiting for it. She's taking a little walk on air here. But Blockchain Beauties has officially announced here. I forgot to mention I'm launching a token soon. DM me if you want to be an official BCB. Once the algo quits suppressing me for changing my profile pic, we can do great things, because they've changed the profile pic. But BCB, Blockchain Beauties, if you want to be, here's the thing. You should have a bag of Blockchain Beauties on the launch, because there could be a lot of very fine people representing Blockchain Beauties. And by the way, I don't think that Beauties is just going to be female. I think there's going to be some males. I mean, obviously they want me. I'm probably going to be like number one of dudes. Well, probably Jake Gagan. I'll be probably like 9 million or 9,000,001, whatever. But there's going to be some people that are going to shield this to their communities. And I think that adds value for Blockchain Beauties. It adds value to CoinsChick Coin, and it adds value to CoinsChick rewards. So there's an entire ecosystem developed here. And if you guys are not participating in it, you're probably going to miss out. Let me tell you exactly what I've done over the last little while. And I thought that it was important for me to do it because, I got to pay bills and stuff like that. But I was one of the biggest holder of CCR, but I had to sell, and I sold 20 million of my CCR. I just want you guys to understand something very, very specific first. I didn't sell at the beginning because I wasn't. Again, I'm one of those people that doesn't like to mess with a chart. Okay, I don't like doing that, but it's a rewards thing. So if I need to be rewarded, then I get rewarded. So I didn't sell up here. I sold over here, and you can see right here I have two sell transactions here. One for 10 million here, right there, NTRT. And one for 10 million right here, NTRT. I sold for $848. So I got $848 for staking my CC coins, by the way. Okay. That's how you get the rewards. Like, I'm in the CCR pool and I'm farming it for rewards. And guess what? I made $848. And all I did was I'm the biggest liquidity, or one of the second biggest liquidity providers, something like that. I'm in the top 5 at least for liquidity providers on CC Coin. And I am making incredible rewards. And by the way, just to give you, not to brag here, but if I had sold a month ago, when it was actually ripping and originally launching over here, that would have been double. So I would have had $1,600 in these 2 cells right here, just to consider that. Okay. So that's almost as much as I have in liquidity provided in CC Coin. So if you're not earning and getting yield from CCC, you're out of your mind. Okay. If you're not doing something like this, then you are making a gigantic mistake. Okay. How long did it take you to accumulate that, Blaze? Well, you guys know how long I've been talking about CC. So when did CCR launch? I mean, there has to be a date here, right? So let's find out when it launched. 1 month and 28 days ago. So I cashed out at the bottom, but I've had 20 million for at least a month. So I could have cashed out for at least over $1,200. Let's just say 1,200. Okay. I could have cashed out at least 1,200 almost a month ago. And by the way, I'm still a big ass holder. Like if you were to, I don't even know how to, okay. I'm still working on this. I'm still working on the explorers and trying to remember how everything works on Dex Screener. So forgive me if I don't get this right all the time and all the way, but I'm no longer in the top 10 holders. But guess what? I am number 12 overall. Okay. So I am still a massive holder in this. And by the way, I have more accumulated. And I can tell you, like, I think it's like $30 worth, which is probably going to be about 1 million or 2 million, because the rewards, the more people are staking, the APR goes down, the more people are involved, the more activity there is, because you can't afford to pay those kind of yields. Like it doesn't work that way. But, I'll be back in the top 10 next time I cash out. And what I do normally is cash out when it reaches, like, in the system, it doesn't work right, but like 200, when it says my rewards are near 200, I just generally tend to cash out and put it in my wallet. And by the way, it's not tracked in your wallet or anything right now, so it doesn't come up into your total or anything like that. But, just consider if I cashed out all of it right now, that would be another $400 more dollars. So just consider $1,300 just for staking my CC. I mean, what's not to love? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's not to love about that? So be one of those people. Anyway, now another analyst, by the way, Crypto Minder, is now looking at an ambitious goal of $50 by 2030. Guys, we're in 2025. So he thinks in the next bull run that we're going to see XRP to $50. And right here, he does foresee soon $12 to $15, but he's looking at 50 during that period of time. Now, skeptics reminded of previous missed opportunities. Okay, so if you're risk averse, if you're out of it, you don't think that it's going to, fine. But guess what? You didn't think it was going to go beyond $1.50 or something like that, or can XRP go to $1? Like we were talking about that kind of stuff when the situation was settled with the SEC, or what we thought was a settlement with the with XRP, and it failed to break out of $1 because the case was not closed and there was some appeal and stuff like that. So we didn't have that opportunity. Well, guess what? That's all being cleared up, and guess what? XRP is currently trading at what? $1? Is it $1.50? What? No, it's $2. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, and it is just consolidating for another leg up. Like, I mean, if you're not seeing that, by the way, then you are not paying attention. Okay. I mean, what happens when you get into a parallel channel like this? What happens when you get here, right? Eventually that thing explodes and you start to achieve a new high. My new high and my new target for the next impulse move is $6.94. This is my next target zone right here, anywhere between $6 and $8. So like, I think that XRP is about to absolutely break out. And if it gets accepted into that range and we see, look, we just saw the same move happen again. I say that because of Chris Jericho, by the way. If we see it break out again, then what do we get? Boom, 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 boom. From the bottom there, it goes right into that range. Now, what I would say to that is most likely it's more like down here, like we hit that 618 one more time or something like that, maybe. But if it breaks out, like again, this could go to $10 just like that. Now, my ultimate goal is $25. I think that, I think we end up at $25 by the end of this bull run. Okay. And by the way, that might change. I might change it. And it might end up going down to 10 or up to 50. If I'm seeing the fundamentals change, again, we need to see the practical application and the money being generated and the mass adoption happen. And then the world is yours, baby. So let's see what goes on. Now, it looks like the US is glub. So I don't know what to say there. We're down $10 billion on the day. Again, I think it's going to be a volatile day. Solana retracing a little bit. Ethereum was up, no longer up. It's kind of dead even on the day, and Bitcoin continues to have a little downside. So we're seeing some capital move around. In fact, Ergo is not worried about that one yet. So anyway, let's get into the rest of the news. Let's do this really quick. Why is AB up 7,000% since January? I don't know the answer to this, by the way. I can't. And by the way, there's a big article here. I'm not going to explain it to you, but AB is about Isaac Newton. This used to be called the Newton Project. Now it's called AB. It's been sitting dead fundamentally for years. Okay. Like it had a big run before the last bull market, and then it just kind of dipped and flatlined, and it just broke out and went absolutely bonkers and crazy, up 7,000% this year at a 632 million market cap. And basically, here's the thing. Sometimes things just finally break out and it just happens. Okay. And the CoinGecko quarter one report reveals that the cryptocurrency market has lost nearly 650 billion. We're not looking at that. Anyway, that's, in my opinion, there's a lot of cryptos that are about to do this. This was just one of the first ones. Remember, I've been telling you this. I've been looking for those. Next up, retail curiosity is rekindled as Google search volume for Bitcoin and Ethereum is starting to jump. There's a 26% month over month relative increase in search. What does that mean? That means retail is ready to come back. Now, if we start to see an appreciable pump, if people start buying this dip and we start to see Bitcoin and Ethereum move, then guess what? This market is about to trap some retail into a lot of different cryptos. So it is my opinion that you should get ready for it, because I do think that something big is getting ready to happen. John Woo? Oh, Avalanche John Woo, not the director. Oregon files a copycat lawsuit against Coinbase. That doesn't really have anything to do with you guys or the market in general. I just like the fact that Coinbase is getting sued for their bullshit. So today, the Oregon Attorney General is resurrecting the dead by bringing a copycat case of SEC Gov enforcement action against Coinbase. As a reminder, the SEC dismissed that case with prejudice. This type of political jockeying is an embarrassing waste of Oregon taxpayer. No, it's not. No, it's not. As a matter of fact, what he's going to say is it's a waste of taxpayer money. It is not. In case you think I'm jumping to conclusions, you are. The AG office made it clear to us that they were literally picking up where the Gary Gensler SEC left off. This is exactly the opposite of what Americans should be focused on right now. No, it's not. We should be protecting ourselves from disgusting Coinbase exchanges that steal money from people. And Paul Grewal acts like he's just this is just some kind of innocent thing. They stole my money. So when they say this, fuck these guys. They stole my money and they're still holding on to it. And really, here's the thing. For me, it was one $500 amount and one $1,500 amount. So it's $2,000. It's not even about the money. It's not a lot of money. Okay. But there are a lot of people out there that it could be a lot of money for. Okay. Here's the thing. They're just holding your money blindly. They're not giving it back. Okay. If you go to a stock exchange, if you go anywhere in traditional finance, if you go to a bank, they don't just steal your $2,000. Now, look, a bank could fail or anything like that. I sent money from my wallet to their wallet that they gave me to send money to. And then they said, oh, we don't support that money. So that money is lost. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, then you need to know exactly what it is that you're doing when you're doing that. Well, how the fuck is anybody supposed to find out? And just consider, I'm a little bit savvy at crypto. I will make mistakes every once in a while because new things come along, but I'm a little bit savvy at crypto. And what they basically told me, or what they basically did, was there's nowhere that says USDC is unsupported by Solana, that you can easily and freely access. And do you know the worst part? The worst part is the money that I sent was 1,500 USDC wrapped with Solana. And they still have that money. It's USDC. It's not a meme coin. It's nothing like that. It's USDC. They have my 1,500 USDC and they just fucking kept it. Okay. And they said, we don't support it, but they support Solana and you can send it on the Solana network. So they support the Solana network, but they don't support USDC. What kind of French fried fuckaductory is that bullshit? Okay. What is that? Okay. So now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Nowhere in traditional finance do you send $1,500 to your bank and they're just like, oh, we don't support money. Nowhere. If you did that in the stock exchange, we don't support money. What are you talking about, you fucking asshole? Like, we don't support money. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the stupid bullshit. This is the company right here that's doing it. So fuck Paul Grewal and Brian Armstrong and every one of these scamming pieces of shit. And by the way, if you don't support it, why did my Coinbase wallet allow me to send it to Coinbase? Don't you think that there would be a reasonable expectation of protection provided to an investment vehicle that would not happen, or that it would be stopped and prevented from happening? Fuck Coinbase. They're a scam. All I'm saying. And by the way, they're in on the grift. The SEC is in on the grift with them, and not this administration. Not this administration. I'm talking about the previous administration. This is all about coin. And by the way, how many thousands of dollars every day does Coinbase just receive? And by the way, if they don't support it openly and publicly, bullshit. It's on the blockchain. They can get it back. Think about that. It's on the blockchain. They can get it back. But right now, they just stolen it from any and everybody who sends it over. And by the way, it's not just Solana. They don't support BNB. They don't support all of Avalanche either. There's a lot of different blockchains that they just don't support. So you tell me, what kind of bullshit is that? And again, you make it my problem, and it is my problem. It is my problem. But my problem is not that. My problem is, how do I go from a Coinbase wallet to Coinbase and they steal my money? They got the transaction fee on one side and the transaction fee for the other side, and then kept my money. That's a fucking scam. No matter how you look at it, that's a fucking scam. So anyway, lose my mind today. Anyway, so that's it. That's the show. That's the show, guys. We're done. I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna go get my swole on, as they say. Guys, I'm gonna put out a video either today or tomorrow talking about Ben Armstrong. I know most people don't want to see it. Every time I say something about Ben Armstrong, they say, well, we're not here for him. We're here for you. Well, you know, Ben's got a lot of followers right now who are wondering exactly what's going on, and they're looking for places to come. So I'm going to put out Ben's name, and I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to talk to those people about, you know, what's going on. And I'm going to be honest with them in ways that other people will not be honest. And I'm going to be honest with them in ways that even Ben Armstrong would not be honest with them. And I'm going to tell them exactly what's going on. For those of you that don't know, Ben is in jail for 70 days. He's in jail for 70 days for threatening the life of a judge, which he thought was hilarious. Hilarious to the point that he fled Georgia and was hiding out in Florida before he was found. So, and in the meantime, his team is cutting up old articles or old videos and stuff like that and sharing them with people. And that's not yes or no providing value or anything like that. I don't give a shit about that. But my point to this all is, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what goes on, what has been going on, and how I was considered to be at some point. And you guys, by the way, At this point, some of you are Ben fans and some of you know me. But he told me that I was, or that me, Justin, AJ, all these people, that we could be in on it, that we could be, working on keeping him from getting his company back. I want him to have his company back because I think that, Discover Crypto did no service. They did no service in the way that it went down. However, let me say the quiet part out loud so that we can then move beyond it and you can see the rest of it in the video. Discover Crypto, Timothy Shedd Jr., Timothy Shedd Sr., the Musket guy. I don't remember his name. Nick something. The Musket. You know what I'm talking about. The one that looks like a Civil War vet. You know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. They didn't do anything that he didn't allow in the contract and the principal agreement for the organization. And just to be fair, if we zoom out here, and by the way, all lawsuits that he has filed have now been dropped in favor of the opposing parties. So he's not getting his company back because it's no longer his company. It's TJ's company now. Did TJ take that company from him? I mean, it is my opinion, yes. Do I respect the move? I don't really, but a business is a business. And by the way, TJ feels like he was entitled to that business as well. Just because he's not the face on the promo doesn't mean that he's not somebody in the back making that stuff happen. There are a lot of true things that Ben has said. There's a lot of true things that TJ said over the last couple of years. So, the question is, where does it all fit in? And I'm going to throw a video out there and I'm going to say, hey guys, you know what? Until Ben comes back, you want to watch somebody who's going to pay attention and be honest with you, then, here I am. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, have a good weekend. There's content coming out this weekend. You guys know I've been doing a lot of shorts lately. I'm going to continue doing a bunch of shorts. If you know anybody who wants to do promo videos, I want to do some promo shorts. I'm not ready. I haven't advertised anything, by the way. This is the first time I'm saying it out loud. And also, if you want, today there's a Luna Classic video. If you're a Luna Classic fan and you use Terra Casino for your risk-based gaming, I'm giving away 2 $100 rewards. You have to put your name, your username, your Terra Casino username into the Luna Classic video today. And yeah, matter of fact, just full disclosure, I've also talked to Discover Crypto. I might go on their channel and I might talk to them and, let them attack me for what I've said and attack them for what they've said and or done. I mean, we might actually sit down and have a reasonable discussion about it. I am nobody, by the way, of importance in that Ben Armstrong ecosystem. I worked for them for a while to do Ben Coin. I've been friends with Ben. He kind of ghosted me. I've been friends with Cassie. I still talk to Cassie. And she just made a post about some stuff that was going on, like leave her alone and stuff like that. And then, you got some unfavorable comments along the way and some favorable comments along the way. So, we'll see. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have a discussion and maybe kind of wrap up that part of the journey. And let me just say for you guys, there was a time when, Ben told me, I'm going to take you with me, bro. Like we're going to recreate this kind of thing and blah, 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 and blah, 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 but we're not friends. Right. So, I'll explain it to you guys later. You guys have a good day. It's not financial advice. I'm always right. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Also, I want to give away some CoinChick coins, but I haven't gotten my shit together yet in order to do that. So, and we're going to do that live, hopefully with CoinChick's approval. We're going to do that on Monday. So until then, it's not financial advice. I'm always right. I appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again soon.